Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're taking a quick look at Paralives. Paralives is a new Sims competitor which has just been released into early access, so bear that in mind. A lot of the critiques I could have for the early access version may not stand, well hopefully won't stand when it comes to the release version itself, but I will be critiquing it because it is released in the early access for purchase at £33.50. That seems a bit steep to me. But, you know, it was a one-man studio until 2005, and then he got other members to come in, and they're Paralives Studio now, so there you are. Now, being in early access, it does have its fair share of jank. It runs pretty horribly, to be honest with you. I mean, I've had instances in it when it's gone down to like 12 frames a second. Not for an extended period, just like briefly, but it's still there, and it's usually running between 40 and 50, which if you look at it, it's not graphically that intense, and it isn't taking, I mean, my graphics card is not being used to its fullest extent. Sorry, should not have had my lentil chips before doing this. It does play very much like The Sims, but there's a few added bells and whistles which makes it a little bit of a different experience. So when you start a game, you get three options as a storyteller. So there's a man, a woman and a dog. And the dog gives you the easiest sort of random events in life, so there'll be less of things breaking and complications coming up, things like that, and more bonuses and benefits. The woman is balanced, and the man leans the other way and gives you more sort of disastrous elements and less of the benefits. The building sim is actually very good. I haven't really dealt too much with it because it's not really what I play The Sims for, but I know there are people out there who play The Sims and, you know, just love doing that. I mean, you can scale windows, and, you know, it's not just like, oh, this is the window I want, let's pop it in. It's a little bit off, but, you know, that's where it goes, so whatever, and that's what it looks like. No, this is a lot more in depth to that. It was done basically with the intent of being able to recreate any house accurately. And to be fair, they've done a good job. My issues are more in the parts I'm more interested in, like the gameplay sections. So, character creation. I'm not sure if this is my fault, but I managed to create a midget. I didn't know how much slider I should use for his height. I've seen videos where there's like a scale that comes up next to him. I guess I'll call them a para. Plus, you know, British Parachute Regiment always called them paras, so that sounds a little bit cooler than like a Sim or a Zoe or whatever. So I've ended up with a midget, basically. Don't know why. My fault, obviously, but yeah, I'm gonna persist with the midget. I'm not gonna criticize any animations that don't perhaps perform quite as well, because my man is like 4 foot tall. But there are things I can criticize in it, definitely, because the camera is a bit of a nightmare, because you know what it is, you sort of get the angle you like best, you zoom in like best, and you move the camera around. You can't like right click and drag to move the camera. You can turn edge scrolling on, otherwise it's keyboard controls to move the camera about. You can rotate holding right mouse and going left and right. So, you know, all your controls are there. It's just a little bit unwieldy for my Sims tuned brain. But the problem is, when you pull back, the camera flits to the height of whatever it's over. So if you come out of your building and into the road, you will basically zoomed in on your foundations, basically. Or if you just back up a little bit too far and you're on like the roof of the house above the street, it's like you're massively zoomed out. It's struggling all the time to retain where it is in the zoom. It really needs to be locked to your apartment in terms of where it thinks you want to be looking, because that's what you want to be looking, or at least your para, at any rate. Now, There is a modding scene. Of course, I've looked into that because I am a filthy pervert, as you all are very well aware of. And yes, they're doing me proud, but I haven't modded my game yet. To be fair, I probably won't for a little while because it needs some underlying structural changes. Otherwise, everything's just cosmetic, really. In other words, you can have your penis, but you just can't use it. And yes, they have called it a parapenis, which is chef's kiss. Well, what have I got to say about that? And you can imagine what they've called the female equivalent. So the discussions and how you make friends is also a little bit different. So you don't pick what you want to talk about. You just set off a conversation, which slowly fills up a bar, and then you click on the icon at the top of the bar once it's full, and it allows you to sort of essentially play a card. Now these may be things that you're interested in, things that you're good at, or specific social interactions. So there'll be ones where you can flirt with them. Obviously, there's friendship building ones, there's funny ones. You know, it's the stuff from The Sims, but it's done in card form. And you have to wait for them to talk and fill the bar up to a certain level to do it. Physical interactions like kissing and hugging and all that stuff is done up under a separate option where you just go in and pick the interaction you want. I found that quite a lot of the time it doesn't work. Sorry, lentil chips, blah. It doesn't work because it can't seem to figure out where to place your power in relation to the other one. So it just says, oh, I can't do that, which is not ideal. I don't know whether it's something to do with like the instruction not affecting the way the other power behaves. So normally in The Sims or in Inzoi, the other character will move to accommodate you, but not in this. But I mean, as I said, it's early access, so some of these things will be sort of sorted out. One interesting thing that I have noticed is you'll be doing a job and it'll have job skill requirements. All good. Your mood is one, and then you will have a couple of others, basically telling you what you need to skill into to raise job performance. So you're going along and you're like, okay, got that, don't have to worry about it now. And a couple of days later you check back and the requirements have gone up. The job actually requires you to continue increasing the requirements, which leads into another problem I have. I just feel like the time scaling is off. You can change the sort of pace of it, but for me the scaling is off. It needs to be longer. There's just not enough time in the day essentially to like skill. I mean, you go into a job, you got two things to skill up. The skilling's not hugely quick or anything like that, and you're fighting to do it, and your job performance is falling, and you get strikes in this at your job if you're not performing as they expect, and 3 strikes and you're fired. So you're trying to like get home, take care of all your needs, and learn, and get into bed early enough to be able to get up the next day without that affecting you and causing you to have a bad mood for not getting enough sleep when you're going to work the next day. It's like trying to juggle when you've got just a single finger available. It's not easy. Also, I don't know if this is just me, but I've like replaced everything in my little apartment with the best of what you can get. So I've got like the best computer, the best bed, the best fridge, best stove, the best shower, the best toilet, everything like that. I've like got the best ones, or at least nearly the best ones. And I really haven't noticed much difference in any effect other than just cosmetic and, how much I had to pay for them. They don't seem to really fill me up noticeably faster, which was the case in certainly The Sims. I can't remember if it was the case in Inzoi. So that's one thing. And like, money is really not an issue in this game either. Unless you're building a massive house with like having to fill multiple rooms with all sorts of shit, then maybe at that point it becomes an issue. I mean, the bills come in like every 4 or 5 days, and you basically earn enough to pay the bills in 2. Everything else you can just spend. And in a little house like the one I've got, I mean, I've upgraded everything, and now I'm just like, outside of like just choosing to do different things, like learning to play a guitar or something like that, I was just like, I don't really have anything to spend my money on now. I'll just leave it. So I think the economy needs some balancing as well. I mean, lots of money is always nice in a game, but if someone seriously wants that, then they can just put a mod or a cheat in or something like that, and get it. I think the game itself should be. You should have to budget. It should be representative of real life. Speaking of representative real life, it does have non-binary representation in the character creation. I'm less aggrieved about things like that in a game like this because it is supposed to be a life simulator and people do choose to live their lives that way. I mean, personally, it's not for me, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but I'm not going to tell someone else that they can't do it. So yeah, it kind of gets a pass for me in that respect. I was a little bit hesitant to start dating in this game though, because there's no way of just directly hovering over someone and figuring out what their gender is, put it that way. So like, I didn't want to have a nasty surprise after spending 6 hours romancing somebody, basically. But it is in there, so if you are a fan of it, it's there for you. If you're not a fan of it, don't use it. It's good. I get all the arguments against it, but in this sort of game, I personally find it more forgivable than in most games where it really doesn't matter. It's like stuff like the Velguard. I never got why it needed to be in that, other than the director Karen Bush was trans. I think that was the sole reason it was in it, basically. I mean, to having like scars where women had the breasts taken off. It's like, really? You're in a magical world. You don't think they would do that by magic instead of just lopping them off with like knives? No? No. Whatever. But yep, so that's in it, but it doesn't really have too much an effect. I wish there was a toggle to turn it off so I could be confident after what I was trying to pull, but there you go. The game graphical style, as you can see, is extremely cartoony. It's kind of gone the other way from Inzoi, where they went for a lot more realistic than The Sims. But it runs worse than Inzoi, so as I said, early access. Hopefully a lot of this will be sorted out. And also it seems like a little bit better. I mean, you can go to you get a newspaper every day. You don't physically get it, it just pops up as a notification and it tells you about something that's going on or something that's happening. And you can go to those events and do those. But I'm too busy skilling to try and keep my job. So I haven't really made time for that. And on the weekends, I'm trying to get laid. So there you are. You know me. It's like roof over my head and a wet winky. And then, outside of like those two things, you don't need a lot else to make you happy, do you? But yeah, I mean, it is selling for quite a high price for an early access game. I mean, they have a Patreon as well, I believe, that is also funding it. But I mean, when you're looking at 70 quid for a game, 33 quid, I mean, it is in early access, so it is, not feature complete. I hope there's more to do and more options going forward, because, it definitely doesn't feel like the full product yet. But for what is there, I am enjoying it. The random cards that you get as part of the game. So when you go to sleep and you sort of go to bed, you get a card from your storyteller, and you can pick what category it comes in, but you don't necessarily know what cards are going to be offered. And they're all positive generally. But you can get ones like, oh, you got a big promotion at work, you get +2 levels, and then you might find, oh god, I'm going to have to spend like 4 days skilling that and hope I don't get a stripe beforehand, sort of thing. So like I've started off being really hesitant on this the sort of promotions that you got, and then I was just like, oh okay, I'm balanced now. Let's get some promotions in. So I went up like 4 job levels, and it's just a number in this. It's not a position. You're just doing your job, and there's like a rank. So I did that, and yeah, then I was about 4 levels down on where I should have been. I was like, oh fuck. So that's good. You do get buffs as well in the cards that like increase job performance by 40%. So there's methods to offset that while you skill it up. But it's, for me, it is like really sort of preventative in me doing what I want in the game. I know like in real life we can't just do what we want. We have to work and shit like that. But for me, the game should be a little bit more open because, you know, I'm simulating a life that I'm trying to make better than mine. I don't really want to replicate it, even if I might replicate my house at some point. But everything else is fine. I mean, the cooking is, you have a lot of recipes. They get unlocked gradually. You have, one interesting thing is you get multiple skills. So you'll be researching something and you'll be learning a sort of secondary skill as well, which is its own skill out in its own right. So, for instance, you practice programming, you obviously learn programming, but you also learn technology. The secondary school learns at a much slower rate, but it is there. So that is a nice feature. I do like that. It outside of the camera, it plays very much like The Sims. You click on something, it comes up what you can do with it. Not in a radial menu, but menu, but just in like a sort of list, and you can do what you want. You have daily wants that you can have. You don't necessarily need to pursue that because within day wants basically gives you XP and that raises your level. But they haven't implemented the sort of, you start off with attributes which don't get affected by skilling, just your skills do. So it's not like in The Sims where you get your fitness up or your logic up or whatever. You start off like that and you spend points, initial points on it. And I think the intent is once you level up, you get more points and you can put it into that, which will increase your effectiveness at different things. Whereas now the fitness is a skill rather than like an attribute, say. So yeah, it really is similar to The Sims, but a little bit different. I'm going to be interested to see where they go with it. It's certainly a good founding. I'm not sure whether £33 or whatever it was is a particular good value for this little of a game. I mean, in terms of things that you can do, the game, you know, you could play the game for hours and hours and hours and hours. You would get your money from it in that way, but it would just seem like you'd just be doing the same thing day in, day out. I just don't think there's enough to do in it to justify that price point. But that's just me. And plus, I always frown down on something that doesn't allow me to buy a motorcycle. I mean, like Sims 3, buying cars, driving around, beautiful. Inzoid doing it as well. Not in this. I don't think The Sims 4 ever got around to reintroducing that element either. Probably because it doesn't have the open neighborhood anymore that 3 did. Why'd they take that out? That was so stupid. Oh well. I mean, I am a connoisseur of these sort of games. I mean, I baited The Sims Online and played that for many hours. And granted, that was more or less just a glorified chat room because you'd all be sat there spending hours getting your skills up to make more money to buy things for your house. Or if you wanted to have like a lot where you could like get people to come in and skill and, you know, try and crack the top skilling houses and stuff like that. It was fun. Met some people, none of which I'm still in contact with. Anyway, guys, I think I've been going long enough. Paralives, it's enjoyable. I'm not sure it's worth the money at the moment. Certainly keep an eye on it if it's your sort of thing. And if you just want something else to play that's not The Sims or Inzoi, then yeah, worth a look. It does what you would expect it to do, just a little bit more janky than the others. So take care, and I'll catch you next time.